48,000 SMEs have reached tailored training through us, and 8,500 members have accessed 8.7 billion in financing, with a strong focus on youth and women. Through our cooperation with the African Guarantee Fund, we are enabling risk-sharing mechanism, technical assistance, and joint initiatives that prepare SMEs for digitalization, e-commerce, and sustainable business practices. And we have a call for you. That is at KNCCI. Ladies and gentlemen, inclusive growth will not happen by chance. It will happen by choice. Today we call upon you for the following: financial institution to innovate around collateral-free and blended financing models that meet SMEs where they are. Number 2, county governments to partner with chambers in establishing local credit guarantee schemes. Number 3, development of partners. This one is to invest in targeted financing programs for women, youth, and rural entrepreneurs. At KNCCI, we are ready to scale our business academy, launch of our own circle, and use of our national network to connect entrepreneurs with the right financial opportunity. As I conclude, access to finance is not merely about loans. It is about unlocking the potential. It is about a young woman in Turkana, and I'm glad that Turkana chair is already here. Just wave to the crowd. Yeah, it is about a young woman in Turkana turning her tailoring skills into a thriving fashion brand. A farmer in Bungoma moving from subsistence to agribusiness. A small manufacturer in Thika breaking into export markets. Let us work together, national government, counties, financial institutions, development partners, and the private sector, to ensure that finance is not a privilege for the few, but a tool for the many. Because when SMEs rise, Kenya rise.
I'm happy to be here, and I want to appreciate Chamber of Commerce for having extended this invitation. The economy for Kisumu is largely MSME driven. These days we don't talk about SME, we talk about MSME so that we leave no one behind. We endeavor to give a conducive business environment for MSMEs to operate in a dignified way. And we also ensure that we are moving away from the informal businesses that we have had for a while. By that I mean we are formalizing the informality. We are also keen to address the cost of doing business, so that ease of doing business for our MSMEs should be seamless, so that our people do not have the many bottlenecks that we have found in the system.
We have a lot of information about SME because of our network. And there are a lot of things which hinder our SMEs to get financing, which is some of them are quite obvious. When we go around, talk to them, survey their business, we see what they are doing. We have high interest rates. High interest rate from the commercial banks are hindering SMEs. We have micro, we have small, and we have medium SMEs. So the micro down there is suffering together even with the small and medium. because of the high interest rate. Most probably they are competing, the people who are established are competing for a tender. The profit which you get is between 10 to 15%. And when you go to the bank, that is the interest they charge you also, 10%, 13% and above. So high interest rate is making SME to come down. Most of our SME lack good bookkeeping. And that is why we are there as a chamber.
As KRA, we are working hard. Number one, to create and build trust. Because for us to be able to support MSMEs, there must be trust between the government in KRA and the business fraternity. And we are trying to do this first by making ourselves available. So we are talking now of co-creation. The solutions that we want to create and put out there to support businesses are solutions that we are looking to co-create with businesses. So to do that, we are also working on partnerships. So partnerships with chamber, partnerships with the county governments, partnerships with business associations that will help us get your feedback. In terms of the things that we've put in place to make sure that we support businesses, we are now talking of simplification. So with simplification, we now have the e-teams. E-teams, and the director has mentioned it, that most businesses do not have records. And e-teams is the government coming to businesses and telling them, this is a business tool. Because on e-teams, you can be able to have your inventory, you're able to have your receipts, you're able to have your invoices. So with e-teams tool, you have your entire business in that platform. Possibly what remains out of the conversations we've had in this room this morning, I'm thinking what will be my take home is for us to go and have an enhancement on e-teams that can possibly allow it to be validated by a financial institution from what he has said, so that then we have something that serves the entire ecosystem.
If you speak to many businesses, many of them say, I would want to be a supplier to EABL. I would want to be a supplier to, the other large or multinational. Yeah, but it doesn't happen overnight. There is a lot of facilitation that is required. And so maybe even the entrepreneurs who are here, they're looking at you and thinking, maybe this is my opportunity to start growing sorghum or barley or other things. Yeah. So from a corporate perspective, what is hindering MSMEs from integrating into large supply chains, and how can these be overcome, both from a policy and system approach?
People think that to do business with a big corporate, you need to, know people or do things that are not correct. But I think one of the things that we say is that as a business, we are keen on growing small businesses because we believe those are the engines for growth, and those are the engines that can be able to help us even propel ourselves in terms of driving exports, which is, I think, is a focus area that we should be looking at as a country. At EABL, one of the things that we do, because you're quite an integrated business in terms from farmers to getting the drinks that you consume on the table, we work a lot with many SMEs. For farmers, we're working with around 47,000 farmers, majority of whom are small scale, who will be SMEs as well. And what we've done is just to make it very simple for them to understand what do we want from a farmer, and what can we do, and what is the role of the farmer. So one of the things that we do is to develop seed. So we invest a lot in research on seed, because we want to give you seed that can grow well based on your ecological zone. The seed that can do well in Western Kenya might not do well in Eastern because of the different ecological factors. And the other thing that we provide is a ready market. So before you even plant, you already know at the point of delivering the crop to us, what is that price that you have.
Companies go to universities and tell them, this is what we want. This is what we see should happen. How does it happen? Or can you make it happen for us? And they partner and support one another for that particular research, for example. Unfortunately, you'll find that I'm yet to know which university in this country majorly is partnering with industry to come up with an innovation or do research for them so that they can use those products to enhance their productivity. As an institution which is located in this county, our vision and mission is very huge, just like any other institution. However, we've decided specifically to have a call, a motto that we are saying we have knowledge for sustainable innovation enterprises. What do I mean by this? I want to give you a very interesting example. Several times I've opened the doors of the university for training for MSEs. And the latest one was hosted by the Tourist Fund and the Tourist Board. And they wanted to train small businesses in the kiosk and hotel industry. They gave a space of 100 participants. And as a university, I told them, what I will do for you, I will give you training space free as my contribution. But you will make sure that when these people are being trained for half a day or one day, make sure that they are happy, they have water, they have snack, they have food, they are 10 o'clock. Do you know what? Out of 100 spaces they gave, they had for 2 days 15 people.
I was among the people who ushered the first refugees in Turkana, because at that time I was with the UNHCR. And what I have, as the chamber, we have really played a very key role when we partnered with the ILO, specifically on Prospect Project program. And what we have done integration of putting our office, a sub-office in Kakuma to actually support them fully, because they had a lot of issues in terms of documentation. And also, when you talk about documentations, that is ID, which actually gave access to documentation for all documents they want in terms of businesses. I've tried to move across to DRS and also to the ID's CEO, if they can actually be issued with ID that doesn't expire, the ID number doesn't expire, because most of them have lost their opportunities and also businesses when they are using a Kenyan ID to partner with them, and then again they are getting a lot of problems when you talk about KRA, because the PIN is different and the business owned by a refugee. You find now they are being penalized with a lot of taxation, and because they have no anything to do, they go along with that kind of problem. So as the chamber, we strike a deal with the DRS and the ID's CEO, which now they are getting IDs with no expiry ID number, which they can be able to own their properties without any problem. Also, they can actually have other documentations like the PIN and other documentations that actually will allow them to have that good environment in businesses. So that is what the chamber have really pushed, because I saw it was a major problem for them actually to be integrated in business environment. Also, we have trained the host and the refugees. We have actually done some forums which actually will feel the Sudanese or the refugees will feel they are part parcel of Turkana and they are part parcel of Kenyans. So in terms of business development services, that is the program, the trainings and other things like that, which they have really now honed that environment as part of the Kenyans. So they have not that kind of discouragement again or being isolated. So we have brought them with their feeling now they are part of the Kenyans, and they are working together with Kenyans in terms of forums, in terms of financial inclusions, trainings, and we have really pushed even the travel documents. They can now travel to any part of the country to get their products without any that kind of police harassment and other things like that.